Hello fellow cinephiles, Film Guru here. Today I'm reviewing Wim Wenders' Paris, Texas. It stars Harry Dean Stanton, Dean Stockwell and Natasha Kinski. And it's a story of Travis, played by the late great Harry Dean Stanton. We meet him wandering through the desert, and as you could look at him, you can see that he's been out there quite a while. The only things that he owns are the clothes that he has on his back, a hat on his head, and the only thing he has for comfort is a 2-litre bottle of water. And he's making his way through the desert. When we come to him, we see that he takes the last sip of the 2-litre bottle of water, and then he stumbles into town desperately looking for some water. He finds some ice, he takes a little bit of it, eats a bit of it, and passes out due to his heat stroke. When he wakes up, he's in a doctor's office, a small doctor office there, and the doctor's trying to determine who he is and what his name is, but he's mute. He won't say anything or talk at all. So upon finding his clothes and his wallet, he finds a card with a person's name on it. He gives him a call to try and find out who this person is. It turns out that the person he does ring is Travis's brother, played by Dean Stockwell, and we find out he hasn't seen his brother for 4 years. Dean Stockwell's character goes on this journey to find him, so he ends up in this small sort of Texas area to find him, and he wants to take him home because he hasn't seen him in 4 years and he doesn't know what's happening. And much like the doctor, Travis doesn't say anything. He just sort of goes quietly with his brother, and each time his brother leaves Travis alone, he ends up walking. He just keeps walking as if he's walking to a destination or something, or in search of something. His brother tries to convince him to go home on the plane. He won't, so they go on this road trip together, which is quite an interesting trip that they go on. They learn a bit more about each other, and Travis starts to talk a bit more. Subsequently, his brother takes him back to his house. We find out that Travis has a 7-year-old son, and that he has been living with his aunt and uncle for the past 4 years. And we find out that his wife is nowhere to be seen. She's disappeared. And we slowly work out that something happened between Travis and his wife that caused them to separate and to cause Travis to be walking out in the day. And it sort of looks at the relationship between this estranged father and his son and how they sort of bond a bit, and then it sort of turns into a journey, him trying to find his ex-wife or his wife and just have a conversation with her and introduce her to her son again to see him. And then they go on this journey together, and then things unfold as they do. And it's kind of an interesting journey along the way, and he meets some interesting characters, and it comes to a particularly well-written and powerful ending. Look, I really love this. There's something about Wim Wenders, the way he directs. He's a European director, and he sort of has a unique eye. I find it very interesting when people from different countries go to America and make films. Another example of this is Ridley Scott when he did Thelma and Louise. There was just something really wonderful about that film as well. Wim Wenders is a very fascinating director. He likes a lot of colour. He's a true artist. In a lot of the shots, there's something really interesting in the background, whether it's a pickup truck, whether it's lighting or cars or trains or whatever. And there's always something happening which makes these shots very fascinating to look at. He uses a lot of colours, a lot of reds, a lot of greens to create mood and feel. Music's pretty solid in it. And Harry Dean Stanton gives one of his best performances, I think, in this. He's so fantastic. He says so much with a look without having to speak. The relationship he starts to have with the son, with the little boy, is really wonderful to watch, and the way he goes about it, the way he dresses. Harry Dean Stanton has his particular smile that he uses, which says so much. He seems such a wonderful sort of character. You find out about Natasha Kinski's character in this really great, where they're showing old video. There's a really great scene where they're showing these old home videos of Travis, Harry Dean's character, and Natasha Kinski and the son, as well as Dean Stockwell and his wife. There's some great moments in it, and you can really sense the love between these two characters. It's just a simple shot of her hugging him and kissing him on the face, and it's just a really beautiful thing. The way she looks at him, it's really powerful. and you get a sense of that these two were madly in love at some stage, which is really, really fascinating. But there's just something about the way this is done that really sucks you in. Not a lot happens. It's a fairly slow film in parts. It is a film written by Sam Shepard, and I find a lot of his movies when he writes are fairly slow and take their time. But there's something about his writing and Wim Wenders' directing that makes this film fascinating to watch. You get swept up in it. You want to know what's going on. There's a mystery there about why Travis, Harry Dean Stanton's character, is walking out in the desert, and you find that out through the film in such a wonderful way. And the way you finally find out what happened between him and his wife is such a great scene. It's such a simple, perfect scene. Pretty much there's a window between them. They can't see each other. And she doesn't know it's him. And he turns his chair around and starts to tell this story. And then you start to find out he's actually talking about her. And it's such a powerful scene, watching these two converse, express how they've felt and what they've been through. And there's great shots upon her when he's talking and great shots upon him when she's talking. And it's just a really effective and wonderful shot film. The best scenes, I guess, are towards the end, where he finds out his wife is working in this place where it's sort of like a strip club in a way, or some sort of like a strip club, some sort of club type thing where men go, they sit in front of a window, and on the other side there is some made up thing, whether it's a hotel room or a cafe or whatever, and they just talk to the person, the girl on the other side, and they can't see them, and they just say what they want to do and say and want them to do. And Harry Dean Stanton's character goes in there and finds out that's where his ex-wife is, and some really great scenes back and forth where they can't see each other, but it's so powerful, and it creates this metaphor of this idea of this barrier between them that they can never cross ever again or interact with each other the way they used to. And I think that's really, really powerful. And during these monologues at the end, they're so well written by Sam Shepard, and the acting and delivery of them is fantastic. First, Harry Dean Stanton with his simple, basic talking, revealing what happened between them, which was so well done. There's this great shot on him focused on him with her blurring in the background, and then you switch to the other side where you can see him and she's not facing him, talking into a microphone that his voice is coming from. So powerful, so effective. And you really feel for these characters. A really emotional impacted scene, and it's such a great climax to a film. Rather than having some big bang or something at the end of the movie, it's a simple, basic conversation between these two, which I think is really effective and very, very well done. There's something about Wim Wenders, the way he makes movies. A lot of his movies have journeys in them of some sort, whether it's spiritual, internal, external, a physical journey. And a lot of his movies are based around that. And just his ideas that he uses, the way he shoots things, the colours he uses, the music he uses. He uses a lot of natural light and gives such an effect. He's not scared to have a character, an actor go into darkness and just shoot them that way. And the Harry Dean Stanton character is fascinating in this sort of film as Travis. He doesn't say a lot, but when he speaks it means some things. He has trouble sleeping. He has trouble being inside because he's so used to being outside walking around. And he's trying to deal with that, trying to deal with the fact that he's had to come back to society and everything's changed for him and the world's not the same as when he left. And he struggles to remember things and interact properly within this society. And it reminded me of Into the Wild in that part, where the character in that tries to come back to society and he can't. He's changed too much for society and he can't go back normally to it. It's just, it's such a great and wonderful film. And it's very hard to find, unfortunately, and they should re-release it as part of Wim Wenders' collection, because it is one of his best films and, like I said, one of Harry Dean Stanton's best performances. Look, final verdict. If you're a fan of Harry Dean Stanton, you'll probably love this. If you're a fan of Wim Wenders, you'll probably love this. If you're a fan of something that's a bit different, that tells a really good story, simply and effectively, and sucks you in, and is a very fascinating film to watch, you may thoroughly enjoy this. All the acting is really good, and Natasha Kinski hasn't looked more beautiful in a role ever, and her performance is really great as this Texan when she's from a different country, has a particular accent. If you're just getting into Harry Dean Stanton, this is a perfect film to start with. The same with Wim Wenders, because it expresses so much of their creativity and their ability to do what they do best and effectively. Look, I'm going to give this film 4.5 out of 5. I think it's one of the best films to come out of the 80s, and it's just one that I've been back to a number of times and would like to watch more, because there's so much more in it and you get a lot out of it. There's a spiritual element to it. There's so much going on that you don't get from the first viewing, and until you do multiple viewings is when the other stuff starts to appear. Look, if you've enjoyed what you've seen here today, please hit subscribe down the bottom. Otherwise, until next time, enjoy the movies.